Good morning, everyone. Yeah, okay, I'm guessing you can hear me and see this my screen. Okay, so this is tutorial is more a continuing conversation from our last dashboard conversation. If you remember last week, so we talked about what you should include or not on your dashboard. This is more a related thing. So it will not take much of a time, but I will just mention some tips on inside communications and plotting for stakeholders. So stakeholders, as you know, are peoples with a position, with money that you will do these projects for. So you need to know in the real working world, the chances are big that you will present your work for bosses, stakeholders, and so on and so on. So you need to practice or have the skills of how you should communicate with them, how you should represent your work for them. So this whole tutorial focuses on that to increase your soft skill. So the purpose is to highlight the critical role of effective stakeholder communication in project in organizational success, especially in the one that you're in, that is doing data-driven fintech projects, which are really sensitive data that you are telling the stakeholders to make a decision based on what you provided. It's money related, so it's really sensitive. So you need to know how you should communicate and present the data right, because somehow, in some way, you are also responsible for the decisions that you're going to make based on what you guys did. So stakeholder communication is really an important for every project that involves them, that if you are working for them, it's really important. So it really makes a difference how you do this communication, how you create this relationship with them. It really affects your career, everything, either in a good or in a bad way. So doing it right, it will create strategic relationship, increases your influence within that community. It helps to make a smarter decision and manage risk in both sides. So it's really an important soft skill you need to have. You need to really see things from their perspective to be a good presenter for them. So since, like we said last time, it's not about you, it's about them, it's about your audience. So if your audience is a stakeholder, you need to see how stakeholders think, what they want, what they need, and make sure to present your work accordingly. So who are your stakeholders? It could be different types of peoples, can be stakeholders, anyone can be it, but you just need to identify who's yours. uh, like I said, what do they care about? What kind of information are they looking for? So, depending on what business decisions they want to make, their uh, inner wish from the data or from something can be different or unique from time to time. So, you need to identify that one, and you need to tailor your message based on your findings about them. Either it depends on the audience, so you need to identify who these stakeholders are. Are they technical or non-technical or both or whatever? So you just need to identify that and tailor your message to handle those information that you have about them, to create that strategic relationship, to increase your influence on within the community, and to have a name within that organization or project. Uh, so you need really need to give this uh, a thought before you make your final move of presenting your work. So principles of effective insight communication, it needs your clarity. You need to use simple language. just avoid unnecessary talks and so on, and focus on the point, and use just, depending on your audience again, use simple language, relevance, focus on those actionable insights instead of just making sure they heard everything that you go through to do that project. That's not necessary for them. Just focus on the data and what they want to hear. Context, provide background, explain why the insight matters. So just if there's any clarification that the message that you want to pass needs, adding background or explaining it from the business angle by providing different examples inside, or maybe they are related, um, you know, use cases that happened. So mentioning them in what you did better might give a bit of clarity, a bit of context for them to understand your message. And storytelling, use narrative to connect data to business outcomes instead of just, I have this data and this is what I got. If you connect it with the business logic, with the business ideas, uh, around, it will give them more imagination how this information can help them to decide better or to make a decision, the right decision. So you need to be also storytelling. Just don't represent the data. I have this bar chart, I have this. Don't just do that. You need to explain those findings through the business. So what does that mean for the business, their business? So you need to be careful on those communications when you are presenting your findings. So plotting and visualization, like we said last time, you need to choose the right chart for the right data, depending on the data, depending on the use case, depending on the popularity of the chart as well. You need to pick which is the best one to present this particular project that I'm doing. Avoid misleading visuals. Okay, let me just. Yeah, this one. So avoid misleading visuals. Example, there's a six axis manipulation and cherry picking data. So what does that mean? So from the first, misleading visuals indicates that sometimes your visuals can be confusing how you present them. So you need to be careful not to mislead their expectation through your mistake. So when we say axis manipulation, for example, if you are showing a sales growth from $100 to $105, but in your y-axis you might use just to show the range from 100 to 100 $6. So in the business world, sometimes this $1 gap might give them the idea there is some kind of spike that happened within that period of time, which can trigger some unnecessary emotions. So you need to be really careful and be focused on what you present and on your visualization, not to mislead. You might think as this is just $1, but depending on the use case and the situation, it can really create a huge spike and a misinterpretation between what you are trying to say and what they are understanding. So you need to really be careful how you present with your access and the message. So examples like this can really create some misleading. Again, it depends on the data. Maybe the $1, it doesn't make that much a difference in some use cases, so they wouldn't be alerted by it. But in some cases, it might create some kind of confusion and misleading data. So that's what we mean when we say avoid misleading visuals, misleading presentations on your visuals. Cherry picking, like the name suggests, is just picking some data and presenting it without really giving it much a thought. So if you have a data, like we said last time, just pick the most important one. We have said that, but depending on the use cases, in your thought, you are thinking maybe if they see the top 5 things, that's enough. But maybe the use case they want to see the comparison between other datas uh, in some period of time. So really depending on the data, instead of just picking the data and just saying this is it, you just need to really uh, be careful, not just to pick something and show them. That's not relevant or that can be misleading. You need to be really careful which selective slice of the data I should represent or they are looking for, my audience are looking for. So uh, you just need to match your way of thinking with their way of thinking to avoid these misleading values. The other is color in accessibility consideration. This is all the things that you put on your graph to increase users' receptiveness for that graph. So you need to be really careful which color, which things I should put, which chart I should use, labels, highlights, callouts. You need to add this chart matrix or chart, chart matrix or chart tools that are found on the chart to represent some things like labels and everything. You need to be careful on them. You need to be descriptive on your chartboard without being messy. And you need to also use tools that are commonly used with fintech data or on the fintech industry, like Matlab, Plotly, Power BI, Talibu. These are common tools. These two are more like Streamlit, but different tools that does use dashboard designs. So they are commonly used. If you have time, you should really practice how to use Power BI tool. I think these three already are using it through the Python libraries, but they are on frameworks that does dashboard like Streamlit does. So if you have time, you don't have to wait for us to give you assignment on them. It's just they are commonly used tools. You should practice how to build dashboard on them. There are a lot of references on the internet. So they are common within the fintech or all data science industry. So use those anyway, those commonly used, accepted tools for visualization. So fintech specific visualization, mostly on fintech data, visualizations are used for time series flows or time series data, which helps you to see any patterns or trends within the data. Depending on what use case are doing for, they might also indicate some fraud detection, say showing you the pattern between the data flow in some period of time compared to this period of time. So time series is mostly used within fintech data, risk scoring and credit modeling visualizations. These are mostly used by banks that show them how risky is it for a user. They do these visualizations or they do this analysis to decide if they need to lend you a money or not. So they track your bank transactions or expense in out, and they decided if they should provide you a loan if you are a valuable entity to borrow, or these kind of decisions. They would use these risk scoring visualizations to visualize one person's value uh, for lending. So credit modeling, they will do this your credit analysis to decide the final decision about loaning and so on. So these kind of visualizations are used within the fintech industry, customer segmentation and cohort analysis. This is more picking those customers in segments by grouping them just to better understand which part of the customer is performing well or not. They segment their customers through the demographic or behavior or gender for different. You can divide your group of entities based on different topics. So you can use this customer segmentation to understand your customers better, or to compare them and come up with a better decision for your company or for their company, for fintechs. And cohort analysis, like you are the Kifiya cohort right now, the data, the use case, they may have some cohort uh, data for different period of time, which you can visualize. They can use to decide some kind of decision for next cohort maybe. So that's what that is about. Compliance and anomaly detection is more, the anomaly is when something abnormal thing happens more than unusual. When there's some unusual patterns that might happen, it will look for those uh, unusual patterns from the way things were. So it may be sudden login attempts, or in the fintech where sudden many movements can be identified through this analysis and visualization. Compliance dashboard type organization is meet legal standards or not. So depending on the use case and the company you work for, you can look for different perspective of the data to come up with some conclusion, and show that through visualization and represent it to the concerned person, either stakeholder or boss, or so on. So why stakeholder communication matters for you guys, which we consider you guys are fintech data science developers. Why does that matter for you? It ensures data insights drive real business value. So it aligns your analysis with stakeholder needs and business goals instead of your own. It helps you to align what you are doing with through their eye. It prevents wasted effort on irrelevant or misunderstood analysis. So understanding what they really want before you start working in anything will really prevent not only your time but or effort, but theirs as well, because no one is going to be happy if you are waste 2 months, 3 months on a project on a wrong target. So it's really important for you to know these skills. Facilities clear requirement gathering. So knowing that, it will give you a clear path, a clear requirement points that you will look for to complete the tasks, build trust in data and models. So transparent communication with them. So having this communication with them will give you insights what they want, and so on and so on, which creates transparent communication, which the data they're using, the limitations, the model assumptions, and so on. So even letting them know what the limitations are within the data, or any things that they need to know, and making sure you are uh, letting them know what is wrong with the data, and so on, what are the challenges, and so on, will really create some kind of trust with your stakeholders. They will find to help you out to make it better. Maybe they will find you a better data or a better recommendation. So it will create that trust between you and them. So no one expects perfection, but they will, this integrity interaction, you be transparent on what you are doing, limitations as, will give them the time and the space to provide you a better recommendation or a better angle that you haven't seen. So it really creates a trust between you and them. So don't be afraid to share those limitations within the project if there are. Enables actionable outcomes. So, presenting your work in clear, actionable way will create the path to find a solution. So if it will really bridge the gap between the technical business results and the business decision. So be clear as possible, because this is really sensitive data information. Like I said, they might really depend on you to make a decision to put their money on the task. So depending on your analysis, so being as clear as possible without being afraid of the consequences really will create a trust with them. You just need to be really clear of your data, your limitations, and so on. So supports regulatory and compliance needs. So ensuring a stakeholder understand the implication of the data solutions, helps document and explain model decision for audit. So you need just to be clear in every way. So they can help as well to making the right decisions, to help document the right things, and uh, this explaining the model decisions and everything. It comes from your side because technical things, but anyway, it will give you the support that you need, explaining everything to every single level. So it will reduce project risk, risk as well. So identifying any potential failure or limitation or issue within the data, within the what you did with your analysis, will reduce project risk, will reduce any unnecessary decision from happening. And it also, when you are vulnerable and sharing your limitations, I have done this, but this limitation has led me to think this, being clarify of your thoughts will help you to give uh, them the space, like we said, to provide you recommendation, to give you feedbacks. Maybe they will see something that you don't see. They are more involved with the business world than you guys are as a developers. So they might give you insights, feedbacks that are important to help you understand how the business work much clearer. So you can manipulate your data to fit those feedbacks. So just be honest as possible to with your stakeholders to get the right feedback, the right solutions. Sometimes you don't need to do everything alone. Not sometimes, most of the time, especially with fintech. I don't know how many of you are involved with the fintech world, but most are not. So the way you'll know how the fintech works is not by being, on the accounting part, but you can learn from others, and stakeholders might be more knowledgeable with this fintech data than you are, or how it works than you are. So being clear and transparent will help with eh, changing this knowledge with each other. So make sure to do that. So this is just some notes just to make sure you understand the effective value of stakeholder communication. It's not about a soft skill. It is a strategic advantage for your future, especially in the fintech where data, trust, compliance are paramount. So you should explore how you should communicate more effectively to help yourself, basically, to be successful in this industry. So that's it. I think it's clear. But if you have questions, you are welcome. This is not much a hard concept. It's just something that you need to know. Okay. Is it clear what the message is from this tutorial? Okay. በአማርኛ እንድለው የምትፈልጉ ካላችሁ ደግሞ አለው ቲንክ በአንድ ፓራግራፍ መጠቅለል ይቻላል ይሄንን። Okay, questions, suggestions? መስፍን የስ
ሰላም እንዴት ናችሁ?
እንዴት ነህ?
አለን ይመስገን። አሪፍ ነው ፕሬዘንቴሽኑ፣ ጥሩ ነው። እንዳልሽው ግን ያው ሜቢ እኔ ፐርሰናሊ ስከታተል ወይ ይሆናል ብዬ የተረጎምኩት ነገር ሞር አሁን እንዳልሽው እንደ ሰመሪ ነገር በአማርኛ ዲስከስ ብታረጊ አሪፍ ነው።
እሺ so እሺ so the whole sorry በአማርኛ እስካሁን ያወራነው አጠቃላይ ዓላማው ምንድነው? ስቴክ ሆልደራችሁን እንዴት ማናገር ትችላላችሁ ኢፌክቲቭሊ ነው። ሶ እናንተ አሁን ኮንሲደር የምትደረጉት በፊንቴክ ስር ያላችሁ ዳታ ሳይንቲስት ዲቨሎፐሮች ናችሁ ተብሎ ነው። ሶ ፊንቴክ ላይ አብዛኛው ጊዜ ያው እንደምታውቁት አብዛኛው ጊዜ ስቴክ ሆልደሮች አሉ። የሆነ ባንክ ላይ ኦር የባንክ ባለቤቶች ምናምን እንደዚህ ፖዚሽን ላይ ያሉ ሰዎች ላይ ነው የሚሰሩት። ሶ የሚፈልጉት ዳታ አናላይሲስ ሲሰሩ ለሆነ መኒ ሪሌትድ ለሆነ ዲሲዥን እንዲጠቅማቸው ነው። ሶ በጣም ኬርፉል መሆን አለባችሁ። በእናንተ ዳታ አናሊስት ተሳስተው መኒያቸውን ብራቸውን ኢንቨስት ሊያደርጉ ይችላሉ ወይም ላያደርጉ ይችላሉ። ግን እናንተን ባመኑበት ልክ ብዙ ውሳኔ ሊወስኑ ይችላሉ። በዛ ልክ ደግሞ ብዙ ሪስክ ውስጥ ሊገባ ይችላል። የሚወስኑት ውሳኔ ለሰክሰስ ካደረሳቸው ለሁለታችሁም ትልቅ ሰክሰስ ነው፣ ግን ላይሆንም ይችላል። ሶ ያንን እንዴት ነው ጋፕ ልቀንስ የምችለው ነው። ያን እኔ በሰጠሁት አናላይሲስ ተነስተው የማይሆን ዲሲዥን ውስጥ እንዳይገቡ እነዚህ ብር ሆልድ የሚያደርጉ ባለቤቶች ክላይንቶቻችሁ ማለት ነው፣ ስቴክ ሆልደሮች እንዴት ነው ያንን ጋፕ ልትቀንሱ የምችሉት? አትሊስት ከእናንተ ሳይድ ባለው ሳይድ ምን ማድረግ ነው የምችሉት? ፐርፌክት መሆን ሊከብድ ይችላል፣ ስፔሻሊ ጀማሪ ሆናችሁ። ግን ከእናንተ የሚጠበቀውን ማድረግ መቻል አለባችሁ። ከእናንተ የሚጠበቀው አንደኛው ነገር ምን ማድረግ ነው? እንዴት ነው ስቴክ ሆልደራችሁ ምንድን ነው እያሰቡ ያሉት የሚለውን አጥንታችሁ ማወቅ ማለት ነው። ሶ ስቴክ ሆልደራችሁ አንድ ቢዝነስ ላይ ለመወሰን ሲጥሩ ምናልባት የተለያየ ታርጌት ሊኖራቸው ይችላል። ምን ኢንቨስት የሚያደርጉበት አላማ እዛ የሚያደርጉበት አላማ ለተለያየ ፐርፐዝ አላማ የዋለ ሊሆን ይችላል። ሶ ይህ አላማ ምንድን ነው? ይሄ ስቴክ ሆልደር ከዚህ ዳታ ማየት የሚፈልገው ኖርማል ዳታ አናላይስ ሰርቼ ይሄ ነው ዳታ የሚለው እንዳሳየው ነው የሚፈልገው ወይ ስፔሲፊካሊ ለምሳሌ ቤቲንግ ላይ አያረጉም። ፊንቴክ ላይ ያሉት ቤቲንግ ላይ ግን ዝም ኤግዛምፕል እየሰጠው ነው። ቤቲንግ ላይ የተገናኘ ኢንቨስትመንት ማድረግ ፈልገው ከሆነ ሊያረጉም ይችላሉ። አይ ዶንት ኖ ፊንቴክ ላይ ብዙም እንትን አይደለም፣ ግን ቤቲንግ ላይ የተገናኘ ኢንፎርሜሽን ከሆነ ምናልባት እዚህ ዓመት ላይ ኢንቨስት ሊያረጉ ፈልገው ሊሆን ይችላል። ጀስት ይህ አንድ ባለቤት ነገሮች ኢንቨስት ማድረግ የሚፈልግበት አንግል አንዱ ከአንዱ ሰው ሊለያይ ይችላል። ሰው በተሻላችሁ አቅም ያህን ሰው ቀርባችሁት ከፕሮጀክቱን በፊት ከመስራታችሁ በፊት ምንድን ነው ታርጌቱ ማሳካት የፈለገው የሚለውን ካወቃችሁ እዛ ነገር ላይ ፎከስ አርግታችሁ ዳታውን አናላይዝ ሰርታችሁ ቤተር ፕሬዘንቴሽን ማቅረብ ትችላላችሁ። ሶ አይዲያው ምንድነው? በደንብ አርግታችሁ እንዴት ነው ኮሚኒኬት አርግታችሁ ያህን ስቴክ ሆልደር የሚፈልገውን አውቃችሁ በሚፈልገው መንገድ ደግሞ ፕሬዘንት ማድረግ አለብን የሚለውን ማወቅ የምትችሉት። ያህንንስ ማድረጋችሁ ጥቅሙ ምንድን ነው የሚለው ነው በዚህ ቱቶሪያል ላይ ያለው ጥቅሙ። አንደኛ ልክ ሆናችሁ ከተገኛችሁ እሱ ያለውን ነገር ወይም እሱ ያለችውን ላይክን በኤኒ ጀንደር ማሳካት ከቻላችሁ ይህ ስቴክ ሆልደር ከእናንተ ጋር ከፍተኛ የሆነ እምነት ይጥላል ማለት ነው። ያ አንድ አድቫንቴጅ ነው። ኦልሞስት ሴልስ እንደሆናችሁ ቁጠሩት። በዚህ በፊንቴክ ወርልድ ኢትስ ሪሊ ኢምፖርታንት ነው። እናንተ የምትሰሩት አናሊሲስ ዲሲዥን ለመስራት ስለሚጠቅም እነሱ ምንድን ነው የሚፈልጉት? ምን አይነት ዳታ ማቅረብ አለብኝ፣ ምን አይነት አናሊሲስ ማቅረብ አለብኝ ብላችሁ ራሳችሁ ነው ሴል እያደረጋችሁ ያላችሁት ለወደፊት ከነሱ ጋር ለምትሰሩት ፕሮጀክቶችም ማለት ነው። ሶ ያህንን ልክ ሴልስ ላይ ካስተመሮቻቸው ምን ይፈልጋል፣ አንድ ሴት ልጅ ምን ትፈልጋለች፣ አንድ ህፃን ልጅ ምን ይፈልጋል ብለው አጥንተው ነው በዛ መሰረት ሴልስ አወራራቸውን የሚያስተካክሉት ሴልሶች። ልክ እንደዛ እናንተ ደግሞ ሴልስ አሁን የምታደርጉት ፕሮጀክቴን በመንገድ ሰርቼ ላሳያቸው የሚለውን ደግሞ የምታጠኑት በዛ መንገድ ነው ማለት ነው። እነሱ የሚፈልጉት አጥንታችሁ ምን አይነት ፍላጎት ነው ያላቸው ምናምን የሚለውን ተረድታችሁ ነው ያህንን ዳታችሁን ስትራክቸር አድርጋችሁ ሜሴጃችሁን የምታስተላልፉት ማለት ነው። ሶ ሀብ ሴልስ ናችሁ ማለት ነው በሆነ መንገድ ሰምሃው። ሶ እንዴት ማውራት አለብኝ እና ደግሞ ችግር ሲፈጠር ለምሳሌ ዳታው ስፔሻሊ ኢትዮጵያ ውስጥ ያለ ዳታ በጣም ብዙ ጊዜ እጥረት አለብን። ሶ ለኢትዮጵያ ማርኬት ከሆነ ያን እየሰራችሁ ያላችሁት ሜቢ ዳታው ሊሚቴሽን ሊኖረው ይችላል እነሱ የሚፈልጉትን ኤግዛክት አናላይሲስ ለመስራት። ሶ ራሳችሁን ከማጨናነቅ ቀርባችሁ ይሄ ሊሚቴሽን አለበት ብትሉ፣ ስፔሻሊ ደግሞ አይ ቲንክ አብዛኞቻችሁ ፊንቴክ ላይ ኢንፎርሜሽን ላይ ሊኖራችሁ ይችላል። እንዴት ነው የፊንቴክ ወርልድ የሚሰራው በቢዝነስ ሳይድ ቴክኒካሉን እርሱትና ማለት ነው። ያ ኢንፎርሜሽን ላይ ሊኖራችሁ ይችላል። ሶ የቢዝነስ ተማሪዎች ያልሆናችሁ ብዙ አላችሁ ልትኖሩ ትችላላችሁ። ሶ ያህንን ጋፓችሁን የምትሞሉት የቢዝነስ ተማሪ ሆናችሁ ሳይሆን በማውራት ነው። ምክንያቱም የእናንተ ፕሮፌሽን አናላይሲስ ነው። ዛስ ፋይን። የማታውቁት ኢንፎርሜሽን ግን ዘራይት ፐርሰኖችን በማውራት ጋፑን መምላት ትችላላችሁ። ሶ ይሄ ችግር አለ ይሄ ዳታ ላይ ብላችሁ አስማች አስ ፖስብል የተከሰተውን ችግሮች ብትናገሩ ይሻላል። ሳትናገሩ የማይሆኑ ውሳኔ እንዲወስኑ ከማድረግ ማለት ነው። ስራዬን አጣለሁ ዋሬቨር በሚል ውሳኔ እንደዛ መደረግ የለበትም። ምክንያቱም ይሄ ላይክ ዊ ሴድ ሴንሲቲቭ መኒ ሪሌትድ የሆነ ዲሲዥን የምትሰሩበት ኢንቫይሮንመንት ላይ ነው ያላችሁት። ሶ ያህን ስትነግሩ ሜቢ እነሱ ከእናንተ በፊት ከብዙ ዳታ ሳይንቲስት ጋር ሰርተዋል፣ ከብዙ ኢንፎርሜሽን አላቸው በቢዝነሱ ሳይድ የተሻለ ፊድባክ የተሻለ ኢንፎርሜሽን ኦር የተሻለ ሪኮመንዴሽን ሊሰጧችሁ ይችላል። ይህ ደግሞ ሞር እናንተን ፐርፌክት እንድትሆኑ ያደርጋችኋል ማለት ነው። ሶ አስማች አስ ፖስብል በፊንቴክ ወርልድ ያላችሁ ዳታ ሳይንቲስቶች ዲቨሎፐር ብቻ አይደላችሁም ከኮምፒውተር ጀርባ ያላችሁ። እነዛን ስቴክሆልደሮች የሚመለከታቸውን ሰዎች እያናገራችሁ ኢንፎርሜሽን ጋዘር አድርጋችሁ በዛ መሰረት አናሊሲስ ሰርታችሁ በኋላ ደግሞ ስታቀርቡላቸው ደግሞ የትኛውን ቱል ልጠቀም ለማቅረብ የትኛውን ኢንፎርሜሽን ነው ማየት የሚፈልጉት ቻርቴ ላይ አናሊሲስ ላይ የሚለውን ወስናችሁ ከነሱ አንጻር ሄዳችሁ ማለት ነው፣ ከእናንተ አንጻር ሳይሆን ያህንን ቤተር በሆነ መንገድ ሚስሊዲንግ ቫሊዎችን አላስፈላጊ ኢንፎርሜሽኖችን ሳትጨምሩ ደግሞ ፕሬዘንት ማድረግ አለባችሁ ያህንን ማለት ነው። ሶ ቤዚካሊ ይሄ ነው። ኢዝ ክሊር?
አዎ ልክ ነው። አሪፍ።
ኦኬ yes.
Thank you. This is my presentation, and I would like to ask one question related to the interim submission. I mean the final submission, which is directly related to the 2-day sessions. So, is that any format to write any standard or effective communications? Would you explain a little about that? What we have to include on the final reports regarding to this? Thank you.
Okay, so documentation on Leo. ሶ እዚህ ላይ እየጠየቀኝ ያለው ታስክ ፎር ላይ ነው። ቲንክ እሱም አይመስለኝም። ይሰማል?
ሰብሚሽኑ ላይ ስለሚጠይቅ ነው። ዶኩመንቴሽኑ ላይ ግን ታስሊ የለም። እዛ ላይ ምንም እንትን ያለው።
ኦኬ ቴኔክስ ላይ ነው ያየኸው ያለው? እንትኑ ላይ
ያ ቴኔክስ ላይ ሰብሚሽን አለው። ይሄ የኤፌክቲቭ ኮሚኒኬሽን አንዱ ነው። አንዱ አሳይመንታችን ነው።
እሱ ላይ ቴኔክስ ላይ የሚለውን አንብብልኝ።
ኦኬ ኦኬ።
እኔ ዶክመንቴሽኑን እያየሁ ስለሆነ ነው።
ኦኬ I think non-technical submission, effective communication is it?
ኦኬ ነን ቴክኒካል እሱኛውና ይሄኛው የተለያዩ ናቸው።
የተለያዩ ነው።
ዋው ነን ቴክኒካል ኤሚሊየን በሚላችሁ መሰረት ነው እሱን የምትሰሩት።
ኦኬ so I missed that.
ያ ኮሚኒኬሽን እና ይሄኛው ኮሚኒኬሽን የተለያዩ ናቸው። እሱ ሌላ ፓርት ነው።
ኦኬ ኦኬ።
ይሄኛው ኮሚኒኬሽን ከቴክኒካል ሳይድ እንደ ዲቨሎፐሮች ምን ማድረግ አለብን በፊንቴክ ወርልድ ላይ ለሚለው ቴክኒካል ሶፍት ልክ መጨረሻ ላይ ስላይዱ ላይ እንዳያችሁት ይሄኛው ፓርት ሶፍት ስኪል ብቻ አይደለም፣ ቴክኒካል ስትራቴጂክ ስኪል ነው። ዘ ራይት አናሊሲስ ለመስራት ምን ማድረግ አለብኝ፣ ስፔሻሊ ፊንቴክ ኢንዱስትሪ ላይ የሚለው ይሄ ለኛ ነው ለዲቨሎፐሮች። የኢሚሊየን ደግሞ ሞር አጠቃላይ ኮሚኒኬሽን ስኪላችሁ ላይ ነው አይ ቲንክ የሚለው እሱኛው ሰብሚሽን እሱ በሚለው መንገድ ስሩት።
Thank you.
So any last questions? So clear now ሚል ሪአክሽን ባገኝ ያው ኢንድ ማድረግ እንችላለን። እሺ ኦኬ ቴንክ ዩ